Well, here we are at the end of March. The Blues are having a storybook second half of the season here. They won their seventh game in a row over Montreal just last night. They are the hottest team in hockey right now. How about it? They have put themselves into the second wildcard spot in the Western Conference. But can they go even higher? Is the first wildcard spot possibly in play for them? Could they even get a divisional spot? No, probably not. But we're going to talk about that. But do we even want them to climb higher in the standings? Would it be better for them to stick in the second wildcard spot, or do we want them to see how high they can get? We're going to talk about all that and more today on Note News. Welcome into Note News. We're a St. Louis Blues podcast. It is John and Alec with you as always. We go live twice a week. We talk all things Blues, prospects, draft stuff, trades, free agency, but we also talk about how well the team is doing, and right now they are doing very well. So it is a fun time over here at Note News. We're really enjoying the season so far. So we'd appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for 300 subscribers. That's a big milestone for us, and keep hitting that button if you haven't already, and help us get to 400. We really appreciate it. It's the best way to support us. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can follow and rate wherever you're listening. We love to read those ratings and those reviews. And we're on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Note News Pod, so you can follow along for some great stuff over there. We're doing a giveaway right now on Twitter or X, so go to at Note News Pod, and it's pinned in our profile there. We're giving away a free Cardinals hockey jersey. Opening day is tomorrow, so go follow the rules in that tweet. I think all you have to do is follow our Twitter account, retweet that post, and you're entered. And if you want double your chances, subscribe to our YouTube channel, post proof of your subscription in the comments there, and you'll be entered to win. You'll be entered to win double the chances for that Cardinals hockey jersey. So check that out. But as I said at the top, the Blues have won seventh in a row, and it is an exciting time to be a Blues fan and a Blues podcast and all the above. Alec, how are we feeling about this team right now? They are just they're a wagon as we've known, but they have like a rocket strapped to them. They're like a rocket powered wagon right now. What's your take on this team lately?
Times could not be better. Vibes could not be higher. And I'm just like, given all of my other sports fandom and how other teams have gone, it's hard to. I'm kind of just waiting for the other shoe to drop, but I don't think that's coming in the regular season. Just the way that they're playing right now doesn't just look like a stretch of hot play. Like they're clicking consistently and in repeatable, consistently great ways. Like this is an actually good hockey team,
Yeah.
The luck's got to run out at some point. Sure. Like, I don't think they're going to, I mean, hey, maybe they can win every game out from here and win the Stanley Cup. But I would say in most scenarios, they probably don't win every single remaining game. And so you got to think like something's going to happen the other way. But yeah, I mean, and just the way that they've fought throughout the season, faced such adversity, missing their three of their five best skaters for significant portions of time throughout at certain points in the season, had some of their best players slumping, had a coaching change mid-season, all of this, and we're expected to be sellers in a seller's market too, and still turning around into this just absolute hockey force is just awesome. So yeah, it's the way that they've done it. It's the results that they're getting. It's what it means for the future. It's everything right now in Bluesland, and I they're putting the NHL on notice. Other, national media, other teams are starting to get actually scared to play the Blues, and God, it feels good to be back there.
For sure, definitely does. Yeah, I think they've been a little underrated all season, and at the beginning, maybe a little bit by us as well, but I think we were pretty hopeful about what this team could be and how far they could go and what they could prove. But still, I think they have outperformed even our hopeful expectations for them. Maybe not quite to the level though of my bold prediction of them getting 98 points, although that's still in play potentially. If they keep playing like this, then maybe so. But yeah, like they have still outperformed even our expectations of them, and um, just sort of like you said, just the perseverance and the resilience has been there all season. You know, they Robert Thomas went down, and we're like, oh goodness, they just have to stay afloat while he's gone, and then maybe they can, hang around the picture. They did okay. Philip Broberg went down while he was playing really well. That was scary. Yeah, the coaching change, like all like injuries and whatever else, and all the unknown. They have just in the face of that persevered, and here they are today, holding the second wild card spot. It warms your heart as a Blues fan, doesn't it? Sure
That's a way to
does.
put it. Fire me
Yeah,
up.
yeah, it warms your heart with fire. That's right. But yeah, they've got 83 points. They currently hold the second wild card spot. They are fifth in the Central Division behind the Minnesota Wild. We're going to talk about the Minnesota Wild in a little bit. But as far as the wild card picture looks, they have the second wild card, as I said. Behind them, Calgary 79 points to St. Louis's 83. Calgary also has 3 games in hand. Vancouver has 2 games in hand. They've got 78 points. Utah, 2 games in hand, 75 points. Their hopes are looking pretty slim right now. But the Blues look to have the best shot of all these teams right now. But we haven't talked since Sunday, right before the Nashville game. We broke down Dvorsky being called up. So if you want to hear about our Dvorsky chat, we had a special guest on, Sam Kohler, over at STL Analytics on Twitter. That was a really fun one, so go check that out if you haven't already. But we haven't talked about the Preds game and then the Canadiens game. So why don't we start with that Preds game? The Blues beat the Predators and the refs in that one. It was a nasty one. They came out with the win. What'd you think of that game against Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, it was a gutsy win. It was an ugly win. I think of the games that they played in this stretch, is it 7 or 8 games now? I think it's 7 games winning streak.
7 games, yeah.
Yeah. I think that one was the one that probably could have gone the other way, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't. They pulled it out, and credit all around to everyone. Obviously Dvorsky was the talk of the game, and had a good game. I think for not registering a point, like almost got a secondary assist on a really nice. Arguably, Dvorsky did create that scoring opportunity.
I'd say so.
Obviously, didn't everyone else did their part to actually bury and finish the chance, but Dvorsky had a role to play in that goal. And yeah, the Predators, I mean, I hate the Predators. It's them and the Hawks are like 1A, 1B for me. And honestly, there have been some years that the Predators might have been above the Hawks in terms of my least favorite team. They really like to. They're just so pesky, or they have been so pesky, so annoying, because they also really like to, like we saw in that game, they can get really scrappy, especially when they know that they're losing. They're really good at trying to, I don't want to say trying to injure, I guess, but where they know the stakes and they understand how to be a pest as a divisional rival.
For sure.
And that really that's a game, you could be the hottest team in the NHL and sometimes your division can just figure you out. They've seen you more times. They are more familiar with your coaches, your system, your players. Luckily, even when the system sort of broke down, the Blues just had the speed, had the grit to dig out that win. And that I think you highlighted it as a great place to start for this discussion, because to win up 3 goals is awesome.
It really is. Just showed some real determination. Yeah, Nashville's a feisty team, and they know how to play rough, and I just feel like they're a tough draw. Even just given their style of play, they're a tough draw no matter even if they are having a down season, they can still be a tough draw and like kind of a trap game at times. And so, yeah. How about Robert Thomas with 3 assists? Just, nice and easy, real quick
It's
three
so
assists there.
casual for him. It's so casual,
It's crazy.
and it's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
jumping ahead a little bit, and we'll get
Yeah.
to this, but I have to bring it up because it's relevant. Like, everyone is shouting out Broberg's 4 point game, and as we should be. Broberg was insane that game, easily the best player on the ice. Thomas also had 4 points in that game, and
Yeah.
nobody like even talks about it. Like, that's the
It's,
caliber of player we're talking about here.
it's just normal, it's
Four
normal for him.
points.
4 points. Yeah. And so in his last 21 games, he's got 28 points. In his last 21 games, he's got 21 assists. So he's averaging an assist per game. Um, I mean, it started with that crazy stretch in early, like the first game in February. From then until March. So for 1 month, February 2nd to March 2nd, he had an assist every game. It was just a streak of, I can't remember how many it was, like 9 games, I want to say, with an assist every game. He went quiet for like, well, the next game he had a goal, then went quiet for a couple games, and then came right back at it. March 13th, assist. Next game, 2 assists. Next 2 games, 1 assist each. 0 points the next night, 1 goal the next night, and then his past 2 games, 3 assists. Obviously, adding on the goal last night. He's looked fantastic. And then yeah, whenever there was that questionable hit or attempted hit on Thomas that was kind of going knee to knee on him or was trying to, and luckily that didn't like land. It was nice to see Bolduc stick up for him. I think he got fined and got penalized for the cross check.
No suspension for game misconduct, though.
Yeah, yeah. So nice to see. It's nice to see the young guy like bought in and sticking up for his teammate. Anyway, difficult the way it ended up, but I want to talk about. Do you have anything else to add on that?
On the Predators game, yeah. Were you going to move on to?
No, not yet. I was just going to talk about Justin
Okay.
Falk real quick because he had a goal and an assist in that game. I think we've been like underrating Justin Falk over the past little bit. I was like diving into the numbers. He leads
Yeah.
all defensemen in points since March 7th with 10 points. That's crazy. Like he is still Justin Falk, and I think still a candidate to be traded in the offseason. But that's like, he's on your team right now, and it's nice that he is playing at this level. Like this is everything we could have asked for from Justin Falk. Like March 7th, that game I mentioned is the first game without Colton Parayko, right? And we talked about one of the things that the Blues will miss most without Colton Parayko is the offensive production that he found this season. That was at like on another level for his career than we have seen yet. Cam Fowler has stepped up in the assist department, and so has Justin Falk here. He's got 10 points since March 7th, and as I said, leads all defensemen since then. What's your take on Falk? He's scored in that one. That was like a banger in that one.
Yeah. Falk, I totally agree with your assessment that he's been a super underrated part of the Blues, like putting this just incredible stretch of play together.
Mm-hmm.
He's been offensively producing. I think defensively still kind of looks like Justin Falk, but isn't like unplayably bad. Just he needs to be producing to add value, and he's been producing really well. I think the forwards just playing so hard, playing so physical, have really been bullying around teams in the offensive zone. That's opened up a lot more space for Falk. When he's taking these one-timers or firing pucks towards the net, he's not doing it all the way from the blue line. He's able to be like, 6 to 10 feet in off the blue line, not all the way like to the face-off dot or anything, but closer. And he's got a like above average shot, I would say. It's not like elite. This isn't necessarily Colton Parayko or, like Big Z. Like this is still a good shot though. It's got good speed, and he's able to, he also has been locating it better too, which I think to his credit, I think and this could also just be the positioning thing from firing that far away. It's just hard to get speed and accuracy on it.
Mhm.
Taking the shots in a little bit closer has allowed him to have more control over where he's going with it and is able to place it much better. And yeah, I think this is the system helping him, but also I think it's Justin Falk showing up. Like, we have to give credit where credit's due. He's converting his scoring chances, which he hadn't been for the past 2.5 years of Blues hockey,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Some stretches a good play. Like, if I remember correctly, last season he started out really hot, and this season he started out really hot, actually. Um, but for the most part, had never really shown that he could get back to this level. But when
Mhm.
you've got like, um, I mean, really, that's like, are we seeing like a blossoming offensive threat on every defensive pair now? I
Yeah,
mean, Nick Leddy
potentially.
is still kind of just a placeholder, but Cam Fowler has been incredible
He
for
has.
this team, especially offensively. Philip Broberg, we all know, is just him. But I would argue Broberg is a great offensive guy. I would argue I like his defense maybe more than what he can provide offensively. And boy, is he a goal scorer. I'm still watching that Vegas OT goal. Um, but Justin Falk being able to do this on the second pair has been producing. And then Tyler Tucker on the third pair, the
Yeah.
old man and his young buck.
Yeah.
Tucker's been like not quiet. Like, he's been at least someone worth respecting on the ice. Each defensive pair, I think, has, just like the forward lines, has an identity and really is able to get involved in the offensive play that just was never the case under Bannister. And honestly, like, under the last years of Berube, I would say, even in Berube's prime, I still don't know that we ever saw the defenseman as involved as this. I really think that this is a credit to Montgomery and his play style, is able to manipulate the space like a hockey mastermind. That Berube, it was much more like Petrangelo, Gunnarsson, Edmondson, these like monstrous defensemen who could just shoot the puck 98 miles an hour. That you have to respect the speed and skill of like Tarasenko or the strength of O'Reilly, etc. That it would just leave these giant players to be able to take slap shots and convert chances that way. This feels different. This feels much more tactical and really like putting players in positions to succeed. So somehow
Mhm.
I turned the Justin Falk segment into a Jim Montgomery segment, but credit to Falk. He's been burying those chances, and it's huge.
Yeah, I think Montgomery's system has only helped him for sure. But yeah, great assessment there. Anything else to add on this Preds game before we talk about Montreal?
Yeah, real quick, I really hate to do this and be that guy, so I'm going to make it like 10 seconds. But in what most people would call a very poorly officiated game, it didn't get them down. It didn't, let that could have burnt out a lot of teams. And not
Yeah.
only did it not burn them out, they scored another goal, like, in spite of it. Like, this
Yes.
team is hungry, and that is awesome.
Yeah, totally agree. And they rebounded nicely with a good game against Montreal, who have been, since Four Nations, right there with the Blues in terms of like hotness, I guess. Like they've also been one of the hottest teams in the NHL. But the Blues just dismantled them 6-1 over Montreal. Like you said, Philip Broberg, a goal and 3 assists. Robert Thomas also a goal and 3 assists. Like all around, just such a great game from the Blues. It was just one of those games which we've been lucky enough to see periodically this season, where you just kind of point and laugh at the Oilers a little bit. It's like it's one of those games where you're just like, how lucky are we that we have a GM that was smart enough to pull off that move, uh, and how lucky are we that it has worked out as well as it has. Like Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg have like established themselves as core pieces for this team this year, but also like for the long term. Hopefully, I want to lock both of these guys up, and like I think they really could be the future of Blues hockey. I love what we have gotten from them this year, but last night it was more of the same from them, and in all the best ways. Um, yeah, what are your thoughts on the game against Montreal?
Yeah, in a game with huge playoff implications where both teams were hungry. And I mean, after the first period or before the goals in the first period, so like with 5 minutes to go or something, the shot differential was like 11-2 in favor of the Blues or something, or maybe 11, I
Mhm.
think 11-5. And I was going to text you and be like, why am I so afraid of this team that we are on paper like super outplaying? Like Montreal in the first period looked hungry. They looked angry and they looked scary to me. Like they were kind
Mhm.
of playing like a chicken running around with its head cut off. Like really just no structure, but like 150% energy, which can like run you into some goals. And in the first period, that can build you a lead. It was like it made me nervous, to be honest. But yeah, I think despite that, like the boys never lost their cool. They played their game, and it turned out pretty good for them in the end.
Yeah.
There were some goals in the second, especially the third period, where Montembeau and I forget who their backup, but you definitely want a couple of those back
Yeah.
if you're the Canadians. But I don't think like even though the goaltending in that game was terrible, first of all they scored one goal. So in a game where playoffs were on the line, where the season could have been on the line, you know, arguably looking at the rest of their schedule, almost a win and in situation for the
Hmm.
Blues. Just like doing the math and whatever.
Right.
And guess who showed up? Jordan Binnington. We were all shocked by that, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, not only that, to have the team just explode for another touchdown in an NHL
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
is awesome. Yeah, I'm running out of analysis here and just saying that it's awesome that we're so good. But like seriously, like unironically, I'm picking the Blues versus the world right now with the way that they're playing. I had this stat pulled for me just the other day. The Blues right now, hang on, I wrote it down. The Blues in the last 7 games have their highest goal differential in franchise history. I believe it's plus 27 over their last 7 games. That's the highest 7 game goal differential in franchise history. So
Yeah.
we're watching something special.
It is insane. And I think it's like the best 7 game goal differential, obviously, like by any team all year. And I can't remember who posted it or what it was, but like it's up there with like some all time 7 game performances. And obviously, it's just like one arbitrary span in the middle of the regular season. And it's like, that's not what you are remembered for by any means, but like they're up there with some of some great teams from the past few years, especially. So it's been awesome. And then yeah, like this Montreal game, as you said, like the first period was looking a little rough, a little scary. The Blues scored first, but then Montreal tied it up like less than a minute later, and it was like, uh, oh goodness, it's gonna be one of these games. But no, the Blues rebounded immediately, and 1 minute later, put themselves back on top again. Yeah, Dylan Holloway scored to put them on top 2-1, and they never looked back, scoring two apiece, 2 in each period. And so, yeah, fantastic win. I think we should talk a little bit more about like big picture stuff, unless you have anything else to add on the Montreal game.
I don't think so. Just what a dominating win in such an important moment, and it didn't scare them. It's like it excited them.
For sure.
Like this isn't just a team getting hot. This is a good team being unlocked. This is a
Yes.
great hockey team being unlocked.
Yeah, totally agree. So because of their hot stretch, the Blues are holding a playoff spot currently. They are in the second wildcard spot. They've got 83 points. Um, and really, like the story of this is since the Four Nations break, they were kind of hovering around it. It was looking pretty rough. Um, before the Four Nations break. I think we were losing hope a little bit. They were just kind of clawing back in, but then like lost a couple of the games that you felt like they needed to win if they wanted any chance. So it was kind of, looking like they would stumble to the end, but they got themselves some rest. And since the Four Nations break, they are 13 2-2, and in that stretch they've got 70 goals for to 38 goals against. That's a 32 plus 32 goal differential, and that's also like 4.12 goals a game versus 2.24 goals against. You know, you do that consistently, you're going to win a lot of hockey games, obviously. So, and that's just what they've been doing. Um, but that play has, as I said, vaulted them into the second wildcard spot. And as it stands today, according to a few different models, Hockey Reference has the Blues at a 62.9% playoff probability. Money Puck, their wheel, has the Blues at a 61.6% chance of making the playoffs. And then The Athletic, not quite as bullish on them, having them at 50%. I think a big part of that calculus is Calgary's games in hand. But the Blues, their destiny is more in their hands right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with 50% right now, but I like those 60% projections more so. But in short, Alec, I mean, we've talked about this over several weeks now, and so we've teased this out in a lot of different ways, and gotten into specifics a lot of like repeatedly over the past couple of weeks. But what to you has been like the big picture, how they got here to where they are now? You can take that like full season or since the break. Like, what's been the story here to you?
I think it is sort of what I just started saying earlier, that this isn't just like a team playing really hot right now. I think we're seeing the unlocking of this team's potential, their full potential, and not just in a way that's like we're seeing the flashes. We're seeing what they're going to be. We're seeing a repeatable structure that they can rely on to win games into the future. Because the way that they're winning is so is dominating, and is so intense, and is so like it isn't fluky. And it's like when I did my summer series on our acquisitions and Dylan Holloway. And the most exciting thing about Dylan Holloway as a new Blue was that all 5 of his goals that he scored in the playoffs, which were really which was the best tape that he had, was in the playoffs. He really didn't get much time in the regular season. All 5 of his goals that he scored in the playoffs for the Oilers last season were all scored in different ways. And so to me, that meant that, and they weren't just like the goalie missed it. Like, they were all good, well-earned goals. And so to me, that means that, he as a prospect or as a player had a lot more ways to win, which was obviously a very dynamic upside. And I didn't know how consistent it could be. Obviously, Dylan Holloway is a great skater. I see that as the same way with the St. Louis Blues right now. They have so many different game scripts that they can win. If the game gets scrappy, gets ugly, 4-1 over Nashville. If you're playing lower than you competition, 7-2 over Anaheim, 4-1 over Colorado or Chicago. Arguably that's 6-1 over Montreal. Like, we're just dominating. If you're playing a good contending playoff team, 3-2 over Vancouver, and then let in a stupid goal late because they got lazy. But you hope that they learn from that. 4-3 over Vancouver. A team wants to bully you and try and beat you down and be as pesky as possible. 4-1 over Nashville again. Like, they've shown every way that they can take a game script. Now, obviously, this team is beatable. Like I said, I don't think they're going to win every game for the rest of the season and postseason, as awesome and fun as that would be. There are ways that you could definitely stop. I think mostly that you can outscore the Blues. The way that the offense is playing right now, I don't know that there is a way that you can entirely stop this offense. Like I would expect. I don't know that I expect the Blues to get shut out like for the rest of the season. Knock on wood. Maybe I jinxed it, but I guess I'm sorry. I probably did jinx it. But like the way that their offense is clicking right now, I seriously cannot see them scoring less than a goal in a game, and honestly, less than 2 goals in a game. Now, sometimes, yeah, a 2 goal performance against a good defense, a good goalie can happen. That can be a losing script for sure. But absolutely, like this team can win, and they can beat. I think they can beat anybody. I've alluded to this before and tweeted about it the other day, but the Blues right now are playing their best hockey that I've seen since 2022. And in 2022, if you all may or may not remember, the Blues were a really good hockey team, ended up with 109 points, the third in the Western Conference, only I believe 2 points behind second place. But a big reason for their success, and especially them down the stretch, was they were just a team on fire, like a wagon in their last couple games. And a big part of that was their offense started to click. They had a 12-game stretch in 2022 where they scored 4 or more goals. This was from March 28th of that year. I promise this tangent's going somewhere. This was from March 28th to April 17th. They scored 4, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 4, 6, 4, 6, 6, 8 before losing 2-3 in overtime to was that the Bruins' best team every year? No, I think that was the year before the best team every year. Anyways, this obviously right now what we're seeing are goals for in this stretch of games 5, 7, 4, 4, 4, 6. So they are heating up. They're heating up at the right time. And the other thing about that 2022 team, they looked like, in my opinion, the best team in the playoffs. Obviously got ousted by Colorado in the second round, but we were on par with them up until the moment where Binnington got injured, couldn't play the rest of the season, and at that point, it was just a foregone conclusion. But we outplayed the Colorado Avalanche for at least 2 games, and could have done it for a series, the eventual Cup winners. This is the company of team that I am putting this season's Blues in, because they look offensively unbelievable. They look offensively unbeatable. There is no solution right now to stopping this Blues offense. The defense is playing insanely hot. The goaltending is playing insanely hot, but the offense, like, it's I don't even know that buzzsaw is the right word for it. So that's what I am most excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, awesome breakdown there. I think another this is a little bit more brief, but like I think another big part of the story to me is just like fun, like confidence and team culture. And I've talked about this in a lot of ways, and we've kind of joked about it a lot, like the power of friendship and what that is what that has done for the Blues this year. But like seriously, there is something to that. The culture that has been built in the locker room for this team is unreal, and I think is making it such that they don't live and die by the results of each game, good or bad, which I think better equips them to go out and win the next one. And so that has been a big part of the story to me. If you're watching live, let us know in the chat like what you see as a big part of the story for why the Blues have launched themselves into a playoff spot here. Because I want to talk about another reason why they have done so well, and it's the goaltending tandem since Four Nations has looked a lot better. A couple shaky starts here and there for sure, but both Hofer and Binnington since the Four Nations break have a .912 save percentage compared with before that break. It was like sub 900, I believe. And in his last 3 games, Hofer has a .956 save percentage. That's pretty good. He's looked a lot better at a time when we have like talked about, this is when we need him to look better. This is when we need him to step it up, and he has big time. Bennington as well. His last couple games against Nashville, 969, and then against Montreal, a 960. I mean, a couple rough starts in there for both of these guys, and a couple rough outings in there. But that happens, and the important thing is that they're able to rebound and put up performances like they have been in the last few games. That's been huge, and I think it's a real credit to what Hofer has done recently. That it looks more, it's not, and that's not what I'm saying, but it looks more like a 50-50 split. It looks more like a 1A 1B, goalie tandem kind of thing, where they're sharing the starts instead of Bennington getting the lion's share of the starts. Like all season long, it was, you look at who started, it was like Bennington, Hofer, Bennington, Hofer. But recently, it's been a lot more of Benner, Hofer going back and forth. Bennington obviously started the past two games, and so he got both of those back to back. But like, shout out to Joel Hofer for sort of, turning his season around, I guess, and looking a lot better here right when the Blues need him most. That's been huge. And then Matt pointing out Bolduc, his evolution has helped this team. Like this was something. Do you remember us talking about how we liked Bolduc's rate stats and his expected metrics, and like under the hood stuff looked great, but he just wasn't finding it quantity wise because he wasn't getting that playing time. Well, not to like toot our own horns, but I think we were right. Like he has looked fantastic in his role on the third line with some increased playing time, and then recently on the top line as well. Zach Bolduc has been everything we could have dreamed of and more this year. So anything to add?
Bolduc has been awesome. Definitely flourished under Montgomery too, and more recently, I think the biggest thing with Bolduc is just like I don't know that anyone saw this ceiling, especially not in his rookie season, which is just incredible. But the goaltending's been unbelievable. Well, I mean, it's been believably good, really. I think this is kind of at this time of year. This is what we expect from Binnington, and Hofer is back to playing pretty well. So, before it was give me playoff Binnington and a chance. Give me playoff Binnington, and the way that this Blues team is playing,
a little bit more than a chance.
I mean, can we talk playoffs? Like,
let's talk playoffs here. So the Blues are in a playoff spot currently. They have that second wild card, obviously. Now, the crazy thing is that with a win last night from the Blues and a loss last night from the Minnesota Wild, the Blues are now only 2 points behind Minnesota for the first wildcard spot. That's something that we were just like not even thinking about. Literally, I don't think until last night. And then we were like, wait a minute.
Go back to 2 or 3 episodes. Not to toot my own horn, but do. I said the Wild could sneakily fall out of the playoff picture.
Yeah.
Or not out of the picture, but fall out
of their spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I do remember that. But I mean, at the very least, it's not something we even dreamt of until recently. And now here they are, 2 points behind the first wildcard spot. Alec, do you think they can actually grab that first wildcard spot?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 2 points behind the Wild. I mean, the Wild are a not bad team, but in their last 10 games, they're 4-5-1. Mm-hmm. The Blues are obviously 8-1-1. The Wild have a negative goal differential. I got to stop bringing up goal differential. It so does not matter. But they're just not really scoring goals. Their defense is unbelievable. That's the calling card of the Minnesota Wild. Is they're probably the third best defensive team, maybe. That's like them, LA, and Florida are just insane. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they're also really bad at home. I'm now looking at, but anyways, the Wild are slumping. They've had some bad injury luck throughout the season. They also haven't got a lot of loser points. I think is not doing well in their favor. Their schedule looking forward, I haven't seen it recently, so I actually don't know what it is, but I'm pulling it up. I even then, like, I don't think even a tough schedule for them, you can expect a bunch of losses because they are admittedly a pretty good team. Their schedule isn't awful, although I would say it's probably middle of the pack. They have to play Washington, both New York teams, Dallas, Calgary, Vancouver, and 2 games against New Jersey, and then there's some freebies in there too. So it's not easy, but not impossible. But I mean, we talked about the Blues schedule going forward, and I think that the Blues are a better team than the Minnesota Wild. I'll tell you that much. Do I think the standings will end up that way? Maybe, but I do think that there is. I don't know if I had to put a percentage on it. Like honestly, 40-50% chance that we overtake the Wild at this moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason for their struggles is they've got some injuries of key players, especially Kaprizov is out. I think Joel Eriksson Ek is out. Marcus Foligno is out. So like that hasn't helped them at all. But they have looked a little more, I don't know if human is the right word because it's a hockey team, but like they have looked a little more vulnerable lately, a little more shaky lately. And so, yeah, I mean, this is absolutely something that the Blues can do. Like another 4-point night, I guess, if the Blues win and the Wild lose both or the Wild lose in regulation or something like that. Like, yeah, that's all it takes. And so I think it's well within the realm of possibility that the Blues actually do get the first wild card spot. I think you look at their like remaining strength of schedule for both of these teams. It's pretty comparable, as you broke down there. A lot of good, and then a lot of so some bad. So like, I don't think it's a case of one of these two teams has a big advantage over the other. But I think the question is, but we're gonna ask real quick, or we're gonna talk about do we want the Blues to get the first wild card spot? Like, is this the best case scenario for them to get the first wild card spot? But before we do, call me crazy.
You're crazy.
I don't necessarily think this is going to happen. Okay, trust me, I don't.
You're crazy.
All I'm saying, I just want to point it out, and then we can move on.
You're crazy.
The Blues are only 8 points behind the Avs and play them twice down the stretch. Now, some bounces go their way. They get a little bit lucky. They get a lot of it lucky. I don't know, dude. Call me crazy, but
it's more on.
I'm just floating that out there.
It's more on Colorado. If Colorado had the sort of momentum that Minnesota has right now, I would actually maybe be on your side. It's just that Colorado is also one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
And honestly look closer to overtaking Dallas than they do start to lose a bunch of games. But if they start to lose a bunch of games, the Blues do have 2 games against the Avalanche when they are 8 points behind them in the standing. That's already half if you win both those games, which is not a given at all. That is a lot of ground to make up. So it's super unlikely, but that would be a hilarious outcome. Now, when we're talking about, you sort of teased it, what is the best case scenario for the playoffs? Actually, it's probably the worst case scenario for the playoffs.
Yeah, have to play Dallas round 1.
Yeah, because your first round matchup becomes the Dallas Stars, and I would love to see it. That is. Dude,
but the crazy thing though is that Dallas doesn't look that good either. Like, and Dallas is a good hockey team. That's not what I'm saying. But like, you look at some of their like 5-on-5 metrics, look at some of the stuff under the hood. They aren't as good as they haven't been playing like they should be. Is sort of what I'm saying. And they still have there still is the Mikko Rantanen thing, and maybe he can unlock something. And he's been struggling. I don't think he's the reason for their struggles, but he has been struggling. Maybe he could, find something in the playoffs. But like, if it's Colorado Dallas round 1, I'm taking Colorado easy right now with how these two teams are playing right now.
I don't know about easy, but
just based on how these teams are playing right now, I think Dallas doesn't look like the powerhouse that they should, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Hmm. But I mean, like in terms of ideal Blues matchups, like okay, real
Yes,
quick
yeah.
off the top of
Let's
your
talk about
head,
this.
you get four teams that are most likely to win the Stanley Cup this year are Colorado and Dallas in those four teams.
Oh goodness. Colorado might be. I don't think I'd take. This is a tough one because okay, look, I'll take Florida. I got to take Carolina. Um, and then the other two, I think it's tough. I think Colorado and Vegas are who I'd look at. Um, and then like maybe the Oilers over Vegas or something like that. But yeah, I don't know.
For
What do you think?
me, Colorado and Dallas are absolutely two of the four like teams with the best odds to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah,
Both of
but
them
they
have more points, higher points percentage than Colorado or than Carolina, by the way.
yeah. Yeah, I mean they're playing each other first round, so one of them is out.
Right.
But I'll take the Avs. Yeah, I mean
Anyways,
realistically, like going on history and all that stuff, maybe not Carolina, but I'm legally obligated to say Carolina is the only thing. Um,
point being, I think their third central spot is actually of the playoff seedings probably the worst case outcome for the team outside of outside of when outside of like just how insane of a story that would be from bottom six in the league to a divisional spot would be crazy, but I think first round is not looking much past that, unfortunately, versus
yeah.
our other possible outcomes, John.
Yeah, well, so Matt pointed out in the chat, nobody takes Winnipeg. Yeah, nobody takes Winnipeg. They ride Connor Hellebuck into the ground every year, and then
He's
are
not.
baffled when he can't show up
Yeah,
beyond 82 games. Like,
that's exactly.
so let's talk about this because what is the ideal? Like, okay, obviously, if Minnesota and St. Louis are the wild card teams, you would want to face Minnesota, but that's not how it works. So, who is the ideal matchup here in the first round, and why wouldn't it be the Winnipeg Jets?
So
And
here's
they're
my
good. They
take
are a
on
good
this.
hockey team. Sorry, like they're a good hockey team. That's not what I'm saying, but they are, to me, at least in recent history, one of the like prime examples of a regular season, you know, unit that just can't get it done. But
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Here's my take on this. I agree that Winnipeg is the most of the likely outcomes is definitely the team I'd rather play Winnipeg than Vegas for sure.
yes, yeah,
I think the Blues have a really favorable matchup into Winnipeg. We've
hmm
seen that Binnington can outduel Hellebuck for nations. We've seen that the Blues can beat the Jets. I believe we're 2-0-1 against them this season. Um, I think, or no. Sorry, we're 1-1-1 against
yeah,
the Jets. I'm pretty certain. But here is actually and I don't think it's totally unrealistic. Here's my dream scenario
okay,
with, and I did tweet this out earlier today. With their momentum, I really do think that they can catch Minnesota. As we talked about, I really think that it's not crazy to say at all. Minnesota's slumping. They're limping into the playoffs, and obviously the Blues are the hottest team right now. If we take the wild card one, Vegas is not passing Winnipeg for the Western Crown.
mm,
I don't know what the number is on that to clinch, but Winnipeg is getting the 1 seed in the West. That's
yeah,
set, which means that the 2 seed is going to go to Vegas, and so the wild card one will play the 2 seed, and the wild card two will play the 1 seed. So essentially, wild card two plays Winnipeg, wild card one plays Vegas. That's pretty much set. Like, I would say 6 or 7 times out of 10,
yep,
because what I could see happening with one game in hand, the LA Kings are 5 points behind Vegas. the LA Kings are one of the best teams. They have the best home record in the NHL. 8 of their 12 remaining games are at home, and they need to make up 5 points against Vegas, who doesn't care about the regular season. They've never cared about the regular season. They like I don't even think they care about like winning the Pacific. Like they just want to make the playoffs. The LA Kings are I can imagine if I were a Kings fan, I would want literally anything to happen other than to face the Edmonton Oilers in the first round for the 4th year in a row, because everyone knows how that's going to
Nobody wants
go.
that. Yeah, no one wants
Because
that.
nobody wants that. Other than the Oilers, who know
Yeah.
that they just get a free trip to the second round. I
Yeah.
don't even think the Kings want another crack at taking down the Oilers, because we all know how that's going to go. How it is gone the same way every year. Arguably, these cores are like the same. I think the Kings, who are a really hot team right now, versus Vegas, who's a good team but isn't necessarily like scorching. The Kings are playing really well right now. To me, it seems like they're fired up. They want a chance at that Pacific slot to not play the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. And again, they're not far behind Vegas with a game in hand and with a real chance to earn a bunch more points given how many games they have at home. As I said, this is my ideal outcome. I really like the Blues' chances against the LA Kings more than Winnipeg, and certainly more than Vegas. I think of the three, Vegas is the team I would like to play the least. I think they're the best of the three by far. And I think, honestly, like LA and Winnipeg would be pretty similar. It's just that I think what's more likely to happen is that the Blues take the first wild card and LA doesn't catch Vegas.
Mhm.
And in that case, that would suck. So I'm kind of just banking on LA to continue to heat up here. But in an ideal world, the Blues have shown that they are able to beat the Kings. They are 2-0-1 against the Kings, not the Jets. And they've beaten them at home, like at LA's home. Sorry, they've beaten them on the road. The LA Kings have 3 losses in regulation at home this season. 3. The Blues have 1 of those.
Yeah.
So that's my ideal seeding, but I do think we match up favorably into the Winnipeg Jets too.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown. But I mean, LA would have home ice advantage for the whole series, right? And you'd have to go in there for what, potentially 4 games out of the series at least.
I mean, who's one of their losses come at home?
Yeah. The Blues did it once. Do you think they can do it over an extended series? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
All right. Yeah, I think
took them to overtime in a game they almost won on the road too. Yes, I do. I think so.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I think LA. I'll have to think about that because I'm not sure who I'd want to face more, LA or Winnipeg. It probably would be LA just based on like the actual talent that is on these teams. Like LA, similarly to Winnipeg, feels like another team that is just like a regular season type of team. And yeah, like I wouldn't be very confident about Darcy Kemper. They've got some talent between like Quentin Byfield, Drew Doughty, and obviously their main guys. I feel like they're stars. They have a favorable matchup with the Blues in that regard, but like, yeah, I don't know. That's intriguing for sure.
I think this goes back a little bit to something I said earlier on this episode, that I think you can beat this Blues team by outscoring them. I don't think you can beat this Blues team by stopping their offense. Winnipeg and LA are obviously 2 of the best. I did forget Winnipeg and that best defensive teams earlier. Winnipeg has been the best defensive team for like 3 years running now. Yeah. So Winnipeg and LA are pretty similar. Yeah, are pretty similar in that regard. That they are both really, really good defensive teams. And I do think that the Winnipeg just have better offensive talent than LA. That's why I'd rather play LA than Winnipeg. I mean, Scheifele, Ehlers, like Winnipeg is a good team with Connor Hellebuck, but they're not really like offensively ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, that's just that's my case for LA over Winnipeg is that I think the
Yeah.
offensive ceiling is so much lower on the Kings, but I don't think this Blues offense can be stopped right now. So I think they match up really, really favorably against the Winnipeg Jets or the
Yeah.
Kings.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair. So I think the thing though is that I feel like the most likely scenarios here is that, and it's kind of a bummer. I think the most likely scenario is wild card one against Vegas or wild card two against Winnipeg. And so, which would you take in that one?
Definitely Winnipeg. I mean, it
Yeah.
would be fun to jump the Wild in the standings, to get the respect in that regard. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, and don't get me wrong, making the playoffs for this team will be a resounding success
Yep.
for this like Blues season as a whole. Um, excuse
Yes,
me.
for sure.
Um, but winning a playoff series would be the perfect bow to tie. I mean, obviously, the best outcome would be bringing the cup home, but every round after that would be better. But I think within reason, um, the best outcome for the playoffs is to win a series, make it to the second round, and then we'll see what happens there. You never know at that point, but I think there can be a little bit of an expectation. They are kind of playing with house money, but there can be a little bit of an expectation to win a playoff series, and if they can pull that off, I think that sets up the Blues as. I mean, it obviously depends on how the offseason goes, but
Yeah.
one of the favorites going into next season, depending on the offseason for sure, but expecting, some big moves. They've shown that they can not only make the playoffs, but win in the playoffs with this core. If they add on to that, still have the playoff goalie in the NHL. I think there's a real chance that this team can win a playoff series this year. And if they do, that is just the perfect ending to the season because it earns you back that respect and it earns you that fear from the rest of the league. And that's what I want to see.
Yeah, 100%. I think it would be great. I think I like your LA scenario, but I think the ideal scenario here, from what is most likely, is playing Winnipeg. But still, you have to beat Winnipeg, who might win the President's Trophy. Your reward for beating Winnipeg is the winner of Stars Avs, and then your reward for that is probably most likely going to be the winner of Golden Knights and Oilers. It's just like the West is stacked, and this is a gauntlet for sure. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's better to win a playoff series than to go home for sure. Like, yes, it would be a victory to make the playoffs at all, given our preseason expectations. And as 31 Teeth pointed out in the chat, this is a pretty good retool so far. Yeah, the offer sheets were a huge part of that, and so like the season is a victory already, based on how well they have performed and the degree to which they have outperformed all expectations of them. Um, but now they're here, and it's like, let's do it. Let's like it's really easy to get hungry for more, and get excited about what they could do next for sure. So I don't know. It's this weird spot where it's like they're in the wild card too. I want them to keep winning, but if they keep winning, they're probably going to have a tougher spot. So it's like I don't know what I want. Um, Maybe I just want Minnesota to get their act together for a second, and and lock that spot down or something. But like, yeah, you know how fun it would be to finish ahead of Minnesota in a season where like at the beginning of the year it's like they might win the division, and that's that, that kind of conversation, Kaprizov for Hart and all that
Minnesota
stuff.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
Minnesota has always been the most overhyped team to me in the past 4 or 5 years. Yeah, Kaprizov is that guy. Like I'm not going to debate that.
yeah.
But outside of Kaprizov, and now Faber has my respect too. Like they're so overhyped. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Rant
but they
over.
kind of, to their credit, they kind of looked the part early on in the year. But they have definitely faltered, falling to the second wild card, or the first wild card, but who knows? Um, so, I mean, history shows us, I feel like with a lot of leagues, like baseball in particular, this has been like a hot button topic, and Cardinals opening day.
Yeah,
It's exciting stuff.
tomorrow.
If you want a good Cardinals podcast, check out Deal on the Cards. We're an affiliate of Deal on the Cards, and they do a lot of great stuff. They just did a Brendan Donovan interview recently, so go check that out for sure.
It's sick.
Um, but yeah, I feel like history has shown us that fortune favors the team that is hot going into the playoffs here, and right now, like more so than the team that um, has been boringly consistent all year, in a lot of regards. And so, do you think the Blues are set up with their current timeline to be hot at the right time? Did they get hot just a little bit too early? Um, yeah, like what do you think about the Blues and their momentum right now, and how that sets them up for the potential of playing in the playoffs?
Again, I really try on this podcast to be as analytical and like level-headed as I can, but man, I
No,
just can't
let me
help
have it.
myself. I'm all in. I'm all in. No, absolutely not that this team did not get too hot too early because it's what I've been saying for the past couple episodes now. This is sustainable. This is sustainable winning. This isn't just a team getting hot, getting lucky. This is a team. I'll go back to what I said at the start of the episode. This is a team coming into its own, unlocking its true potential that they can build on, not
Yeah,
just like play this hot stretch out, ride the hot hand. They can build on this. And so, no, I don't. Because to me, no longer is this a team playing hot. This is the expectation. Every night that I turn on the Blues, that I watch Blues hockey, I want to see some similar level of competition to this. It doesn't. I don't expect them to be as hot as they are in the wins column per se, but I expect them to play up to better competition and play with them in every game that they can,
yeah,
and beat them sometimes. So yes, this is a team that is hot at the right time heading into the playoffs, and I absolutely think that they could win a playoff series. And I think that there's a chance that they might just do the damn thing. I don't care. I think that it's, very outside chance. I'm not going to bet on it per se, but would I be mind blown if this team won the Stanley Cup? I mean, yes, because just that is an experience that is mind blowing, but no, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
yeah. I think
Mark it down.
I think when we were texting last night about the Blues potentially catching the Wild, you were like, you know what? Give me Vegas. They can take them.
Yeah.
And if they keep up
So
their
what if
hot
they're a
streak,
worse matchup? Beat Vegas and then
yeah,
just then we'll talk. Like,
yeah,
and you're telling me like there are no worlds where this team doesn't beat Vegas? That was too many double negatives, but like there are absolute. I think everyone in the NHL, in Vegas, outside of Vegas, thinks that there is at least a chance that the Blues beat Vegas, if not like a 50-50 matchup. Now, I don't. I would say most people don't have it at 50-50 matchup. I don't have it as a 50-50 matchup. But you're telling me that it's not possible? Like, no, absolutely, this team can beat Vegas. They can beat anyone right now.
yeah. Whew. I'm excited, man. This is a really, I say it every episode now, but this truly is like a really fun time to be a fan of Blues hockey, and I've missed it. I have missed, this this momentum, this energy, but like at the same time, it's great that like they are back to this. but it's awesome that they are doing it in a way that like we haven't seen before or haven't seen in a really long time. They just are like fast and they play tough, and it's just like and they are skilled in a lot of ways too. It's just like they, as you broke down, they are finding the back of the net in a lot of ways. They are winning in a lot of different ways, whether it's a defensive shutdown, an offensive, like rocket ship, or Bennington going out there and having a great game. They are doing it in a lot of different ways, and it looks real, and it is a really exciting time. Yeah, man. Let's see. So the Blues play Nashville tomorrow night.
In
Hopefully the
Nashville.
in Nashville. Hopefully they will pull off the sweep.
Hopefully they make it out with their roster intact. That game is going to
Yes.
get hot.
Hopefully Tyler Tucker drops the gloves against Jonathan
Oh,
Marchessault.
Nathan Walker line brawl is happening. Whether it's the first period or the third period, WTF is going out there, and Nathan Walker's gloves will be on the ice before the puck is crossed over the face-off circle.
I want someone to fight Jonathan Marchessault after his hit on Broberg. I got up out of my seat. I was like, not Broberg, that's my boy. But yeah, then a real big matchup against Colorado on Saturday. And then after that, we should be back to recap those games after those after Saturday, and so and we'll be here to talk this whole thing, this whole stretch, hopefully into the playoffs, and fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever you got to do. Hopefully, not just the first round of the playoffs. So if you love the Blues and if you have enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's the best way to help us out. Like this video. Go check out our Twitter account. We're doing a giveaway right now with Cardinals opening day tomorrow. Go get some new Cardinals merch. It is a Cardinals hockey jersey. So all you got to do, we're at Note News Pod on Twitter. Go check that out. It's pinned in our profile. All you got to do is follow us and retweet that, and you're entered. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel and post proof of that in the comments, you get a double entry. So go check that out for sure. We're also on Twitter or Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Note News Pod. So check us out on all those platforms. We post a lot of great stuff, reels and memes and graphics. So check us out over there. We announce when we're going live, all that good stuff. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, follow and rate wherever you listen. Leave us a review. We love to read those. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you next time on Note News. And let's go Blues, man.
Let's go Blues. Let's go Birds. Beat the Cubs.